I think you have an impossible job. I can't imagine trying to defend a $6.8 trillion budget. I mean, if you look at what this president has done, and you have to come here and defend it, the biggest budget in the history of the country, unbelievable increase, massive inflation, massive deficits, no plan to balance a budget. I mean, not even close to a plan to balance a budget. Debt that continues to go up, wages not staying up with inflation, low labor participation. So I think you have an impossible task. I sent you a letter, just to make sure you had some of the questions I was going to ask. So let me just go through some of those. Do you believe that excessive government spending, especially deficit spending, causes inflation?
As I talked to some of your colleagues earlier, I believe inflation, we see it as a global.
No. My question is real simple. Do you believe excessive government spending, running big deficits, causes inflation?
I believe one thing does not cause inflation, and what we see is inflation is pervasive around the globe.
That's fine. I mean, no's an answer. So that's no. The federal debt has risen to more than $31 trillion. Since Biden took office, it's almost up $4 trillion. Do you believe that his budget reduces debt, the debt of the country?
Senator, I use $24.7 trillion. That is publicly held debt. The rest of the debt that you cite is other government trust funds.
You think his budget reduces debt?
Our budget focuses on the deficit, which in turn has an impact on the debt.
So that's a no. Okay, that's fine. So is President Biden's budget balanced? Meaning, are we going to spend more than we collect?
Senator, no, because we believe that would hurt working families.
Okay. What are you paying right now under for interest? What interest rate, and what's the duration of the debt?
The duration of the debt, as you know, depends on Treasury policy on what they do in the bond market. But right now, it's about a little over 5 years, the maturity of the debt.
And what's the interest rate that you're paying?
The interest.
In the budget? Yeah,
the interest rate is close to 3% on the budget on the debt.
So, and do you believe do you believe in your budget, are you assuming interest rates are going to come down then?
We do show what we believe are accurate forecasts where interest will rise and then level off. Of course, interest rates are rising now as the Fed deals with inflation.
And what will the federal government have, under your budget, what will the federal government have to pay in interest expense next year?
Over $600 billion, $661 billion.
So as a percentage of the budget, do you know what that is?
I'm happy to not do math here, but give that to you for the record.
So since 2019, so pre-COVID, last budget pre-COVID, how much has the U.S. population gone up, do you think? You have any idea? I'll give you.
We talked to your set, but
it was not my letter. So
5-6 million people.
Yeah, 6 million people. So as a percentage, how much is that? You think it's less than 2%, 1.8%.
So the question, is like, what do we spend per person?
Yeah. So here, let me ask it this way.
Yeah.
So the population since 2019 has gone up 1.8%. How much do you think your proposed budget has gone up from the 2019 budget?
So one way we look at it is that spending is down roughly 5 percentage points of GDP since the president took office.
So it's up. So here's the numbers. So the population in the last 5 years has gone up 1.8%, and your budget would take the budget up 55%. Now explain why, and that's $400,000 per new American. So why would we only have a 6 million increase in the number of Americans since 2019, but had a 55% increase in our budget? How could anybody explain that?
Senator, I'll take your information as fact, but the way we look at a lot of these budget measures are percent of GDP. We think that is the way to determine health, and I stated federal spending has gone down as a percentage of GDP since the president took office.
Well, there's COVID. But let's go back to pre-COVID. That's not even close to being true if you go back to 2019. So the GDP has not gone up 55%. I mean, so you come in, and Biden came in the middle of a COVID crisis. So of course there was extra COVID spending. But I mean, think about it. Let's go back. Population's only up 1.8% and your budget's up 55%. That's staggering.
So I know people don't want to give the president for presiding over a $1.7 trillion budget deficit reduction, but he did. And that did not happen by accident. Had he not gotten the pandemic under control, had a vastly successful vaccine program, I'm not sure pandemic spending would have ended because we would have still been dealing with the scarring of the pandemic and the economic fallout from it. So because he did that, I believe we're in a better place economically.
55%.
Senator Van Hollen, and then